Have you ever met someone who completely ruined you for everyone else? Not in a bad way. In the kind of way where, after them, nothing else feels the same. That is exactly what Leah Remini says happened to her because of Kevin James. And she is not shy about it. She has said it out loud in interviews more than once. He ruined her. Not just as a co-star. Not just as a friend. He set a bar so high that nobody in Hollywood has come close to reaching it since. Now, before your mind goes somewhere else, let us be very clear about what she actually means. This is not a love story. This is something much more interesting than that. This is the story of two people who built something real inside a fake world. And once you understand what they actually went through together, you will completely get why she says what she says. By the end of this video, you are going to see their story in a totally different way. Most people think they know it. They watched the show. They saw the chemistry. But almost nobody knows the real stuff that happened behind the cameras. The fights. The protection. The moment Kevin stood up in a room full of powerful people and risked everything just for her. Stay with us, because that story alone is worth every second. It is 1997, and Leah Remini is convinced her career is finished. She had just starred in a show called Fired Up. The network canceled it after one season. She felt completely washed up. She was waiting for a callback she thought would never come. Most people in that position would have given up. But then her phone rings. CBS is building a new comedy. It is about a regular blue-collar guy living in Queens, New York. They want her to come in and read for the lead role as the wife. The man she would be reading with is a stand-up comedian named Kevin James. She had never heard much about him. She was not expecting anything special. She was just desperate enough to try. Here is where things get interesting. Kevin James was already attached to this project. And he was very specific about who he wanted playing his wife. He needed someone who could match his energy. Someone who would not get nervous or stiff when he went off script. Someone real. Most actresses came in and performed. They were polished. They were safe. They were fine. But Kevin kept saying no. Then he saw Leah's audition tape. And something clicked immediately. He told the producers she was the one. Just like that. No long debate. No second guessing. He knew. But the network was not so sure. Leah had just come off a canceled show. She was not a proven name. Casting her felt like a risk. And in Hollywood, nobody likes taking risks with their money. So the room was cold. The executives were skeptical. You could feel the doubt in the air. And then Kevin James did something that Leah has never forgotten. He stood up. Right there in that room full of suits and spreadsheets and people who held her career in their hands. He stood up and said, if it is not Leah, then it is not going to be him either. He put his own deal on the line for someone he had only just met. That was the moment. That single act of loyalty, before they had even filmed one scene together, built a level of trust between them that almost nobody in Hollywood ever finds. Leah did not walk into that audition acting desperate. She walked in honest. She was not trying to impress anyone. She was just being herself. And the moment they started reading the script together, something happened that nobody in that room could fake or plan. Kevin would throw out a line. Leah would fire something back even funnier. He would pause. She would fill the silence perfectly. They were not performing. They were playing. It was fast and loud and a little bit chaotic. And it felt completely real. The executives who had been watching 20 other actresses that same day suddenly sat up straight. This was not just two people who knew their lines. This was two people who had somehow already figured out how to speak the same language. The kind of chemistry you cannot teach and you cannot fake. You either have it or you do not. They had it so much it was almost unfair. The show got the green light. The King of Queens started filming in 1998. It ran for 9 seasons. 219 episodes. 9 years of playing husband and wife. And it all started with one weird, intense, almost accidental audition where two strangers realized they could hold their own against each other. Here is something most fans never knew. The magic you saw on screen was not born from a happy, peaceful set. It was born from constant, daily, absolutely ridiculous arguments. These two fought about everything. They argued about line readings. They argued about who came up with a joke first. They argued about timing, about delivery, about whose idea was better. And here is the strange part. Right after those screaming matches, they would have to film their most intimate scenes together. Kissing scenes. Emotional moments. Scenes where they had to look completely in love. And somehow that anger made those scenes work better. They would avoid making eye contact with each other right up until the cameras rolled. And then, when they finally looked at each other, something real happened. The frustration became energy. The tension became heat. The scene felt true because they were feeling something true, even if it was annoyance. Leah has talked about this openly. She said those fights were their love language. They were not holding grudges. They were just letting everything out so there was nothing left to hide. When you can scream at someone about a stupid joke and then immediately do a heartfelt scene with them, that is a level of trust that most people never reach with anyone in their entire lives. And the fighting was not just personal. They fought for each other in the writer's room too. If a producer tried to cut a line that Leah loved, Kevin would fight to keep it in. If the writers tried to shrink Kevin's character, Leah would push back. They treated the show like it belonged to both of them equally. That shared ownership made them unstoppable as a team. At some point, the line between their characters and their actual lives just disappeared. And the clearest proof of that happened in 2003. Leah got married to a man named Angelo Pagan. It was her real wedding, her real life, her real future. And sitting in the front row was her TV husband, Kevin James. Think about what that means. You do not invite a coworker to your wedding. You invite family. You invite people who matter to you in the deepest way. Kevin was there because he had already become family. They had been friends since 1996, before the show even existed. They had met at a Cuban restaurant. The show did not create their friendship. It just gave it more time and more pressure to grow. And it was not just the two of them. Their spouses got close too. Kevin's wife, Steffiana, and Leah became genuine friends. They hung out together outside of work. Their families blended. It became a double friendship that extended far beyond any studio lot. That is the kind of bond that does not happen because of a contract. It happens because people genuinely choose each other. There were shared secrets too. During the later seasons, Steffiana was pregnant. The whole team worked together to hide it on camera. They used props, angles, and creative staging to keep it off screen. Little moments like that pull people together in ways that nothing else can. When you protect someone's private life, they never forget it. Now here is the part of the story that most people have never heard. And this is where everything gets much heavier. Leah Remini had been involved with the Church of Scientology since 1979. That is a long time. And the church had noticed Kevin James. He was becoming a massive star. He was exactly the kind of high-profile name they wanted to recruit. Church officials put pressure on Leah. They wanted her to bring Kevin to events, to introduce him to key people, to open the door for them. And Leah said no. Every single time. She found ways to protect him. She rescheduled things. She made up reasons for his unavailability. She created distractions. She was carrying this battle completely on her own, behind the scenes of a comedy show that millions of people watched every week. She was protecting their bond. She knew that if Kevin got pulled into that world, everything between them would change. The purity of what they had built would be gone. So she fought for it quietly for years, without ever telling him the full story at the time. Kevin, for his part, was a safe space for her when she started having doubts about the church herself. He was one of the very first people she told. He did not judge her. He did not try to fix it. He just listened. That kind of quiet support during one of the hardest times of her life meant everything to her. He was her shield, and she was his, even when neither of them said it out loud. People look at their friendship and see chemistry. They see laughs and banter and a great TV show. But what Kevin James actually gave Leah Remini was something much more practical and much more lasting. He taught her how to survive in Hollywood. He taught her sitcom timing, the pause before a punchline, when to slow down and when to push through. He was a master at it. And he was patient with her, teaching her these things over hundreds of episodes until she could feel it naturally. She has said that early on she struggled with it. By the end, she had it completely. He also taught her about the business side of television. How to own your character. How to fight for better storylines. How to make sure your role is not shrinking while someone else's is growing. He showed her how the game worked behind the smiles and the applause. And she used every single lesson. After The King of Queens ended, she negotiated a 25% pay raise for her next project. That confidence came directly from 9 years of watching Kevin navigate the industry with skill and integrity. She was not just acting anymore. She was running her own career like a business. And he was the one who showed her how. In 2007, The King of Queens wrapped its final season. The show was still pulling over 7 million viewers per episode. It was not canceled because it failed. It ended because Kevin wanted to pursue movies. He had starred in Hitch, Paul Blart, Mall Cop was coming. His film career was calling. For Leah, it felt like losing a home. She has been honest about how hard that transition was. She was used to seeing Kevin every day. She was used to the rhythm of their arguments and their laughs and their shared work. Suddenly that structure was just gone. Hollywood felt colder, quieter, less safe. She struggled to find her footing in a world that suddenly felt very different from the one she had built with him. But the friendship did not end when the show did. They stayed close. They kept in touch. And then in 2017, 10 years later, they came back together on screen for Kevin's new show, Kevin Can Wait. The network brought Leah in specifically because ratings had dropped. And the moment they started acting together again, it was like no time had passed at all. The banter was immediate. The energy was back. The ratings jumped by more than 25% for her episodes. That reunion proved something important. What they had was not just a product of a specific time or a specific place. It was built into who they were together. You cannot manufacture that. You cannot fake it after 10 years apart. It is either real or it is not. For them, it was absolutely real. So now you understand it. When Leah Remini says Kevin James ruined her for life, she is not being dramatic. She is being completely accurate. He ruined the idea of a normal co-star for her. Because he was never just a co-star. He was a defender, a teacher, a protector, a best friend, and a business partner all at once. She has said in interviews between 2024 and 2025 that she has never found another person in Hollywood who matched that level of trust. Not because other people are bad, but because what she and Kevin built was rare. It took 9 years of daily work, real arguments, shared secrets, and genuine care to build it. Most professional relationships never even come close to that. As of 2025, they are still in touch, still texting, still checking on each other's families. The cameras stopped rolling almost 20 years ago, and the friendship is still going. That is the real legacy of the King of Queens. Not the ratings, not the Emmy nominations, not the reruns. The friendship is the legacy. Think about your own life for a second. Is there someone who set a standard that nobody else has reached? Someone who, because of what you went through together, made everything after feel a little bit less. That is what she is talking about. It is not a complaint. It is a tribute. It means she found something real once. And real things are worth more than easy things. You stayed. So here is what we promised you at the start. The moment that almost destroyed it all. At the height of the show's success, church officials escalated the pressure on Leah. They did not just want her to introduce Kevin to people. They wanted her to bring him to a major church event. A public, high-profile recruitment moment. And for the first time, Leah was running out of excuses. She was close to being cornered. If she had said yes, if she had let Kevin walk into that world, everything would have changed. The trust they had built would have cracked. Kevin would have seen a side of her life that she had kept carefully hidden. The friendship might have survived, but it would never have been the same. She said no. One final, hard no. And shortly after, she began the long, painful process of leaving the church entirely. The decision to protect Kevin was part of what helped her find the courage to protect herself. He never fully knew how close it came, but she did. And that is why, when she talks about him ruining her for life, There is always something deeper in her eyes than just nostalgia. It is gratitude. He gave her a reason to hold the line at the most important moment. That is the real story of Leah Remini and Kevin James. Not the show, not the chemistry, not even the fights. It is the story of two people who, without fully planning it, became each other's protection in a world that tried hard to pull them apart. If the story hit you, drop a comment below. Tell us about your Kevin James, the person in your life who set the bar so high nobody else could reach it. We read every single one. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe because we go this deep every single week.